Declaration of isolation. The news struck like an antimatter explosion across human space. Commander Eliza Rice stood frozen on the bridge of the UES Pathfinder, her eyes fixed on the holographic transmission broadcasting across every channel in the galaxy. The alien speaker's translucent skin pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, a sign of extreme agitation among the Varaxian species. By unanimous decree of the Galactic Coordination Council, the alien announced, human expansion beyond Sol system is hereby terminated. All non-Sol humans must return to their home system within 30 standard rotations. Any human vessel found in Council space after this period will be considered hostile and treated accordingly. The bridge fell silent. 20 crew members, the pride of Earth's stellar fleet, stared in disbelief at their commander. "Is this some kind of joke?" Lieutenant Zhang whispered. "We've been Council members for 18 years. Eliza's hand tightened around the command rail. "Communications, get me Admiral Okafor. Now." The Pathfinder had been on a routine diplomatic mission to the Centauri colonies when the transmission arrived. Now suddenly, they were potential targets in space they had considered friendly for nearly 2 decades. "Commander," the communications officer called, "we're receiving emergency recall codes from Earth Command. All vessels are being ordered home immediately." On Earth, the Global Unity Council had convened an emergency session. Representatives from every nation stood shoulder to shoulder in the Geneva Amphitheater as High Chancellor Maya Patil addressed them. "The Council's decision comes without warning or justification," she said, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Our ambassadors were given no opportunity to present a defense or negotiate terms. This appears to be nothing less than xenophobic isolation against our species." At the diplomatic compound on Proxima Centauri, Ambassador Terrence Washington was being escorted to his ship by McClaxian guards. Their chitinous exoskeletons clicked nervously as they hurried him through corridors he had walked freely for years. "Can you at least tell me why?" Terrence asked the guard captain. "What changed overnight?" The McClaxian's compound eyes shifted uncomfortably. The vote was sudden, pushed through by the elder races, something about preserving the natural order and evolutionary containment. Terrence felt cold dread settle in his stomach. The elder races, the first 5 species to achieve interstellar travel, had always maintained disproportionate power in the Council. They had welcomed humanity initially, impressed by their adaptability and technological growth. Now that same growth appeared to have become a threat. Back on the Pathfinder, Commander Reyes had established a secure link with Admiral Okafor. The Admiral's holographic form appeared in the command center, his expression grim. "Commander, how many civilian vessels do you have in your vicinity?" 3 research stations and approximately 200 colonists, sir. I need you to coordinate their evacuation. We have reports of hostile actions against human settlements in the Procyon and Sirius sectors already. Eliza's blood ran cold. Hostile actions. The grace period just began. Some species aren't waiting for the deadline. The Varaxian Mining Corporation has seized human facilities on Demeter. We have civilian casualties. In the halls of the Galactic Council on Neutral Station Harmonia, Dr. Kaido Nakamura confronted his research partner of 6 years. Dr. Zinfar, a Laurosian quantum physicist, had refused to meet his eyes since the announcement. "We were on the verge of a breakthrough with the quantum displacement drive," Kaido argued. "Our teams have worked together for years. How can you support this?" The tall, feathered alien finally looked up. "I voted against the measure, old friend. But I can tell you what wasn't discussed publicly. Your quantum displacement research, it advanced too quickly. The Laurosian Science Academy predicted humanity would need 50 years to develop what you accomplished in 6. The elder races became uncomfortable. So this is about technological development." "It's about fear," Zinfar replied softly. "Your species adapts at an alarming rate. What took my kind millennia to discover, you mastered in centuries. The Council fears what humanity might become in another generation. For the next 2 weeks, Human ships rushed back toward Sol's system from across the galaxy. Many arrived damaged from hasty departures or hostile encounters. Research stations were abandoned with decades of work left behind. Colonial outposts that represented years of terraforming were surrendered overnight. On Mars' colony, emergency housing complexes sprouted across the Red Plains to accommodate the flood of returning humans. Families who had built lives on distant worlds now found themselves refugees in their own system. Admiral Okafor met with the Unity Council's Defense Committee in the underground war room beneath Geneva. Strategic projections filled the walls as military commanders assessed humanity's suddenly precarious position. The quarantine line is being established at the Kuiper Belt, General Santos reported. Council enforcers are deploying automated defense platforms and patrol vessels. They're creating a cage around our entire system. What about our people still out there? Asked Councillor Mbeki of the African Union. We've recovered approximately 86% of registered off-world humans, replied Admiral Okafor. The remaining 14% are either in transit or unaccounted for. The unspoken reality hung heavily in the room. Some humans wouldn't make it back. On the commercial hub of Rigel Station, Dr. Elena Volkov, Earth's leading xenobiologist, had been attending a medical conference when the quarantine was announced. Now she found herself hiding in the station's maintenance tunnels, her research data clutched to her chest. The station's security forces were conducting purges level by level, and humans had become contraband overnight. Her communication device vibrated with an encrypted message. Docking Bay 12, Maintenance Access J7, 23 o'clock standard. Be ready. Elena wasn't alone in her predicament. Across Council space, thousands of humans faced unexpected persecution. Some found help from alien colleagues and friends who disagreed with the Council's decision. Others weren't so fortunate. Commander Rice's Pathfinder had transformed from exploration vessel to rescue ship, its corridors crowded with evacuees from research stations and mining colonies. They were making their final sweep before returning to Earth when an unauthorized transmission broke through their communication filters. This is Dr. Marcus Chen of New Horizon Colony. We're under attack. 18 civilians, mostly families. Our evacuation ship was destroyed on the landing pad. Is anyone receiving this? Elisa checked the coordinates. New Horizon was a small research outpost studying atmospheric terraforming. Harmless scientific work. It was also 3 days past the evacuation deadline and deep in Council space. Navigator, plot a course to New Horizon, she ordered. Commander, her XO objected. We're already at capacity, and those coordinates are beyond the quarantine line. The Council would consider it an act of aggression. Eliza met the eyes of every officer on her bridge. I don't recognize the Council's authority to abandon our people. Navigator, set course. Maximum speed. When the Pathfinder arrived at New Horizon, they found the colony under siege by Varaxian enforcers. The small group of scientists had barricaded themselves in the main laboratory. This is Commander Reyes of the Earth vessel Pathfinder. Your attack on unarmed human civilians violates interstellar law. Withdraw immediately. The Varaxian commander's response was immediate. You have no standing here, human. Your presence violates Council directive. Leave now or face destruction. Instead of retreating, Eliza ordered the Pathfinder to position itself between the colony and the Varaxian ships. Lieutenant Zhang, prepare boarding teams. We're getting our people out. The rescue operation succeeded, but not without cost. The Pathfinder sustained heavy damage during their escape, and 3 crew members were lost. As they limped back toward Earth with the rescued colonists, Eliza recorded what would become a historic transmission to Earth Command. The Council's action isn't about peace or security. This is about fear. They fear what humanity might achieve if left unchecked. They call us unpredictable, dangerous. But today I saw the true danger, the willingness to sacrifice innocent lives in the name of control. We saved 23 humans today, but how many more are stranded out there? This isn't containment. This is extinction. As the Pathfinder approached Earth, they discovered the reality of humanity's new existence. A ring of alien enforcement vessels encircled the solar system, weapon systems aligned toward Earth. Automated defense platforms created a web of surveillance and firepower designed not to keep threats out, but to keep humanity in. In the final Unity Council session before communications with the Galactic Council were severed, High Chancellor Patel addressed humanity's new reality. Today marks the beginning of Earth's isolation from the galactic community. But remember this, they have not destroyed us. They have united us. Every human who once looked to distant stars now stands together under one sky. They meant to contain us, to limit our potential. Instead, they have concentrated it. She paused, surveying the determined faces before her. Let history record that this was not the end of humanity's journey among the stars. This was merely the end of the beginning. Rising from the ashes. 5 years passed behind the quarantine line. 5 years of adaptation, innovation, and silent preparation. Dr. Kaito Nakamura stood in the observation dome of the Lunar Research Complex, watching Earth rotate serenely below. Behind him, a team of scientists worked feverishly on what had become humanity's most classified project, the Phantom Drive. The Council didn't just fear our rate of advancement. Kaito explained to Commander Elisa Reyes, now Admiral of Earth's Defense Fleet. They feared specific technologies that would disrupt their power structure. The quantum displacement research I was pursuing with Dr. Zinfar was one of them. He gestured toward the massive experimental engine in the testing chamber below. They were right to be afraid. The quarantine had transformed humanity in ways the Council never anticipated. Forced to become self-sufficient, Earth's industries had undergone radical innovation. Technologies that might have taken decades to develop under normal circumstances had been accelerated by necessity. How soon until it's operational? Elisa asked, studying the engine that represented humanity's most significant hope. The prototype is ready for field testing, Kaito replied. If successful, it will allow a vessel to travel without passing through intervening space, essentially becoming undetectable to standard sensors. And the Council has nothing like this. Not even close. They've relied on traditional FTL technology for millennia. This will change everything. In the 5 years since the quarantine, humanity had undergone a transformation unlike anything in its history. The return of millions of off-world citizens had initially caused economic chaos and resource shortages. But it had also concentrated Earth's greatest minds in one system, creating an unprecedented collaboration across scientific disciplines. Geneva, once the seat of the Global Unity Council, had become the headquarters of the Phoenix Initiative, humanity's coordinated response to isolation. The massive underground complex housed research divisions, strategic planning, and the newly formed Shadow Fleet Command. High Chancellor Maya Patel, now in her 7th year of leadership, met with the initiative's directors in the Central Planning Chamber. Operation Starboard is ready to proceed, announced Admiral Okafor. The prototype vessel Ghost Dancer has been equipped with Dr. Nakamura's Phantom Drive. If successful, we'll have proved we can move beyond the quarantine line undetected. And the secondary objective? Asked Patel. Elena Volkov, who had escaped Rigel Station years ago, and now led the Xeno Intelligence Division, activated a holographic display of a distant star system. Proxima Centauri, she said. Our intelligence suggests a significant number of humans went into hiding rather than returning to Earth. Underground networks have formed, particularly in systems where humans had strong relationships with local populations. The Ghost Dancer will attempt to establish contact. The quarantine had never been completely effective. Sympathetic aliens had smuggled information, and sometimes even people through the blockade. Through these channels, Earth had learned that not all species supported the Council's decision. Some had begun to question the morality and legality of imprisoning an entire civilization. 2 days later, the Ghost Dancer departed from a hidden lunar base, its revolutionary engine humming with potential. Captain Maya Chen, daughter of the scientist rescued from New Horizon years earlier, commanded the experimental vessel. Phantom Drive engaging in 3, 2, 1. The stars around the ship blurred, then vanished altogether as the ghost dancer slipped between the fabric of space itself. Unlike traditional FTL travel, which compressed space around the vessel, the Phantom Drive created a momentary dimensional shift, allowing the ship to reappear light years away without traversing the intervening distance. When they emerged at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system, sensors confirmed what they had hoped. No alert had been triggered at the quarantine line. "We did it," Maya whispered, then straightened in her command chair. "Begin passive scans. Let's find our people." What they discovered exceeded their most optimistic predictions. Not only had many humans survived in hiding, but they had formed a complex underground network spanning multiple star systems. Alien sympathizers, particularly among the younger species who resented the elder race's dominance, had provided shelter and resources. Professor Anand Singh, once Earth's ambassador to Proxima, had become the de facto leader of these exiled communities. When he boarded the Ghost Dancer, tears streamed down his weathered face. "We never lost faith that Earth would find a way," he told Maya, "and we've been preparing for your arrival." Anand revealed that the exiled humans had not been idle. Working with sympathetic aliens, they had gathered intelligence on Council operations and technological developments. Most crucially, they had identified fractures within the Council itself. The quarantine was never unanimously supported, Anand explained during his debriefing back on Earth. 3 of the 12 major Council races opposed it from the beginning, and 4 more have since expressed regret. The elder races pushed it through using political leverage that has now begun to erode. This information transformed humanity's strategy. Rather than focusing solely on technological means to overcome the quarantine, Earth now pursued diplomatic channels through their exiled citizens and alien allies. Over the next 2 years, Ghost Dancer and 6 sister ships equipped with Phantom Drives established a covert network throughout Council space. They moved human agents, gathered intelligence, and built alliances with dissenting species. Admiral Reyes commanded this shadow fleet from Earth, coordinating their movements in a high-stakes game of interstellar chess. Each mission pushed a little further, tested another boundary, gathered critical information about Council defenses and political developments. On the 3rd anniversary of Operation Starboard, Alina Volkov's intelligence network intercepted a critical piece of information. The Council was meeting an emergency session to address growing dissent over the human quarantine. "This is our moment," High Chancellor Patel declared to the Phoenix Initiative directors. "We've proven we can circumvent their blockade. We've established that their coalition is fracturing. Now we need to force their hand." The plan they devised was audacious, a simultaneous demonstration of humanity's technological advancement and diplomatic outreach. While Earth's shadow fleet positioned itself at strategic locations throughout Council space, Ambassador Terrence Washington, believed by the Council to have returned to Earth years ago, would address the Council directly from within their own chambers. On the appointed day, Admiral Reyes stood on the bridge of the UES Phoenix, the largest vessel equipped with the Phantom Drive. Around her, 30 ships of Earth's shadow fleet waited at coordinates just outside the neutral station Harmonia, where the Council was in session. "All ships report ready, Admiral," her XO announced. "Phantom Drives functioning at optimal capacity." Eliza took a deep breath. "Begin Operation Daybreak. Phantom transition in 3, 2, 1. Across Council space, Earth vessels materialized simultaneously near major worlds and installations, appearing without warning from what should have been impenetrable quarantine. On Harmonia, security alarms blared as 30 human ships emerged from nothing into a perfect formation surrounding the station. Inside the Council chambers, pandemonium erupted as delegates received reports of human vessels appearing throughout their territories. In the midst of the chaos, a single figure walked calmly to the central speaking platform. Ambassador Washington, who had been smuggled aboard the station days earlier, activated the platform's amplification system. The chamber fell silent as the human diplomat began to speak. "Honorable representatives of the Galactic Council, 5 years ago, You declare humanity a threat to galactic peace. You imprisoned us within our own solar system, believing that would end our advancement and protect your established order. He gestured to the display screens showing Earth vessels throughout Council space. Today, we demonstrate two important truths. First, that your quarantine has failed. We have developed technology that renders your blockade obsolete. We can move freely throughout the galaxy without detection. Murmurs spread through the chamber as the implications sank in. Second, and more importantly, we demonstrate our true nature. Despite your abandonment of diplomatic principles, despite your willingness to sacrifice innocent lives, we choose engagement over retaliation. Washington activated a data crystal, projecting information into the chamber's shared network. We have shared with each of your governments a comprehensive peace proposal. We offer technological exchange, scientific collaboration, and security cooperation. We extend an open hand, not a closed fist. He looked directly at the representatives of the elder races. You feared what humanity might become. Look around you. This is what we have become. Not conquerors, but innovators. Not destroyers, but builders of bridges. The quarantine didn't contain humanity. It concentrated our potential and clarified our purpose. In the tense days that followed, the galaxy held its breath. The Council convened in closed session while Earth's shadow fleet maintained its positions, neither advancing nor retreating. Finally, after a week of deliberation, the Council announced its decision. The human quarantine would be lifted, replaced by a new galactic charter of cooperation that established equal rights and responsibilities for all spacefaring species. The elder race's privileged position was formally abolished, creating a truly democratic interstellar community. As the Phoenix led Earth's fleet back through the solar system's edge, past the now deactivated quarantine platforms, Admiral Rice received a transmission from High Chancellor Patel. The Earth welcomes you home, Admiral, and the stars welcome humanity's return. Eliza looked out at the vastness of space, no longer a prison but once again a frontier. They tried to extinguish our fire, she said to her crew. Instead, they forged us into something stronger. Behind the Phoenix, hundreds of ships from 24 alien worlds followed in formation, the first diplomatic delegation to visit Earth since the quarantine, and the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history. The Council had intended to contain humanity's potential. Instead, they had concentrated it, focused it, and ultimately unleashed it upon the stars in ways they could never have imagined. Humanity had not just survived isolation. They had transcended it, emerging not as the threat the Council feared, but as the leaders they never knew they needed. The end.